All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. We are at the end of today's call. I know my sister is she came on for the all 6amers call for a lot of you guys that were on there, and we talked about financial health and wellness, and she is at the end of the call. She finally has all the information she needs for this course she's going to run on how to build out your own financial wellness tracking sheet. So she'll be hopping on towards the end. So if you guys at the end of the interview, if you want to hang out and just watch to see what she has to offer, it's probably 2 to 3 minutes. So just want to give you that little heads up. And as someone who's experienced the power of her spreadsheet, I would definitely recommend everyone at least see what she's offering because it is freaking awesome. And it'll definitely set you up for financial wellness as you head into 2023. And on that note, we got a really good topic of wellness, but let's get our meditation going, Elizabeth. Let's get our morning started, and then I'm going to bring on my good friend Justin.
Yeah, well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I was apologizing for sounding a little bit like a frog because we had our New York City party last night. And if I haven't said it before, I wanted to thank everyone who came up and either introduced themselves or just said hello and said, yay, love hearing you at the 6amers. So
That's awesome.
always appreciated it. It's all the little squares. I have 49 squares on my screen. So it's really such a pleasure. It's true what Robert said in San Diego, and it keeps me when you meet people face to face. It really is. It's wonderful. So thank you, and thank you, Sky. Really, I don't know if we thank you enough. Really, when I think about it, it's 3 years of this, and really has changed my life and
Yeah.
and makes such a difference to all of us. So it's wonderful.
Coming up on 4 years in April. Oh my God, it's
Oh,
crazy.
it's 3.5, right? Well, but I think I've been doing the meditation for what, two and a
Yeah.
half or three. Well, if I have to ask Parker how old her baby is.
That'll tell us exactly.
Because I took over from her when she left to have her baby. So wonderful, wonderful. I invite everyone to take a nice, comfortable seat. If you're in a chair, your feet are flat on the ground. And just take a moment. Get grounded, let your back be in its natural curves, your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Let your eyes close and send your awareness far, far outside the room you're sitting in. What sounds can you hear far off in the distance? And then bringing your awareness right into the room you're sitting in. All the sounds you hear right in your immediate room, things right around you. Then bringing that awareness right into yourself. Sounds you hear within your own body, your heartbeat, your breath. Bring that awareness into your breath as you breathe in through your nose. Can you trace the path your breath takes as it goes down into your lungs? Get that sense how your lungs expand, your rib cage expands, whole torso as you breathe in, and when you exhale, how everything contracts. We'll take another breath just like that, breathing in, that awareness of your breath, how everything expands and contracts as you exhale. Next breath in, let that beautiful light right overhead, the sun, the warmth of the sun. As you breathe in, let that sun come right through the top of your head. Let that warmth, that beautiful glow mingle with your breath, travel down into your lungs so that as that breath expands, the light expands in your lungs and your torso. And when you exhale and everything contracts, let that light contract to a diamond point of light right at your heart center. As you breathe in, let that light expand through your whole body. Let your every cell is alight with your glow, your energy. As you exhale, that light comes right to a point at your heart center. If you'd like, you can let your word, your word of the month, your word of the year, mingle with that light and your breath. So that as you take that breath in and everything expands, that light expands through your whole body and out through the whole room you're sitting in. Your light, your goals, your intentions, embodying your word as you exhale, bringing that all back into your heart center. Next breath in, let that light, let your intentions expand out through your whole community. Let that light stretch out as far as you can. And when you exhale, bringing all that community right into your heart center. Let that sit just for a moment there. All that community, the light, your intentions. See if you can feel what that feels like to live your intentions. Hold it right at your heart center. And then on your next exhale, let your chin come to your chest. Let your eyes flutter open, taking in your room, and have a super wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. If you don't mind, let's put our word of the month into the chat. And with that, let me welcome on Justin. Justin, good morning.
Hey, long time no see.
I know. Just so everyone knows, I don't remember exactly the years, but I feel like it was like COVID-ish years. Justin, like I would be working out with Justin and my cousin, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, I got to get to the 6amers. He's like, bring me on, bring me on. So we finally get you on. So Justin, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, give everyone a quick introduction of who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I think that I have probably had every single job in the fitness field at this point. And I started personal training when I was in college, and that was in 2009. When I graduated with my bachelor's in exercise science, I very specifically remember saying to somebody in the gym, I said, I'm never going back to school when I'm done with this. Uh, about 6 months later, the chair of the exercise science department was in a big pinch, and he asked me to teach a personal training class at the college. So I was like, all right, I'll go back. And then that turned into, oh, I'll take advantage of a free class. And that turned into, oh, I'll get my master's. While I was getting my master's at college, I was also working as the college strength and conditioning coach. So I spent 4 years as a college strength and conditioning coach, working with just about every single team on campus. And then a year after I finished my master's, I said, I think I'll go and get my PhD now. So I moved to Boston to pursue my PhD in exercise and health sciences. When I was in my master's program, I was really interested in two things: athletic performance and then health behavior change. So the health behavior change area of my interest ended up winning out. I felt like it could make a much bigger impact. Just a few of us are exercising enough, eating the healthy foods we should be eating. So how can I help people actually do those things? And so when I moved to Boston, it was really a focus on how can I help people that are not exercising get started, but then also stay consistent. And that's tough. It's really tough. So that was what my research was in. After I finished my PhD, I worked for about a year and a half as a postdoc researcher out at Brandeis University. I really wanted to study if interventions could help people develop an identity around exercise where they get to this point where I consider myself to be an exerciser. That is, in my mind, pretty much the gold standard of motivation. Yet all the grant organizations that I sent grants into couldn't wrap their minds around this. So I did not get any of those grants that I asked for. But at the same time, I started contracting for a startup company. And this startup company paired physicians, dietitians, and then they wanted me to be the person that was taking care of the fitness component. And so this company was called Sequence. And basically what we do is the physicians prescribe weight loss medication. The dietitians make sure that you're, actually, in this case, actually eating enough. And then I'm responsible for making sure that everyone does strength training. So about 6 weeks into that, I was like, all right, let's make this official. And so actually yesterday, LinkedIn told me it was my 1 year anniversary with Sequence. So I left my I left my job in academia and went the private route. And I was like, okay, let's give me some equity in this company, which was, I did get a little bit of equity in this company. Unfortunately, we sold very quickly to Weight Watchers, so I didn't get to invest in it. Otherwise, I'd have a lot more money than I have right now. But we were acquired by Weight Watchers in April, and we're almost fully integrated right now. So we're Weight Watchers Clinic at this point. So that's gonna be our new name. So I guess I can say now I'm the fitness director for Weight Watchers Clinic, where I control writing the strength training programs for everyone to follow, and really just help people with adherence. And there's a lot of different reasons why people might struggle to adhere or not adhere to an exercise program. Outside of that, this is probably a little crazy. Yeah, Sky, I just put an investment into a gym with my brother-in-law too. So I guess now I'm a gym owner as well. I don't know what else. There's a few other things that I probably do. Some
We don't want
research
to tell
here
them
and
everything,
there.
Justin, because you know
Yeah,
we'd be here for an hour. But
yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah.
you said something really cool though. Like, so one of your goals is to make people feel like feel like they're an exerciser, right? Like
Mhm.
break that down for me more, and because I think that's like a key component of very few people feel like they're an exerciser, right?
Mhm.
Like they usually exercise out of like necessity or like drudgery or like whatever. But if you feel like you're an exerciser, how do you get people to that point?
Yeah, I tell people this. I said, if I went outside and I planted a single seed, is that a garden? And the answer is no. And I said, if I went outside today and I played basketball once, am I a basketball player? No, I'm not there yet. But if I consistently planted seeds every single day, I'm going to get to this point where I have something that's different than just a single seed. It's a garden. If I played basketball every single day, I'm going to have all this evidence that I'm a basketball player. And it's the same thing with exercise. The hard thing is, so one, the first ingredient is doing it consistently. So how can I make sure that I do it consistently? Because then eventually evidence accumulates that this is just a part of who I am. The really good thing about exercise is that if you do it consistently enough, if you're able to do it consistently enough and avoid some pitfalls that lead to disengagement, you're going to feel stronger. You're going to feel more competent. You're going to be able to do things that you weren't able to do before. You're going to look better too. And all of these things, like if you feel like let's say you feel like you're at a gym where you feel like you're connected, like everyone here probably has a 6amers identity. So because they feel connection, like, so community and connection, finding a place where you feel that, making sure that you feel competent. That's really, really important. If you're like, I'm good at this thing, then you're going to be more likely to do it. And then just like seeing those results, even just outside of the gym, maybe that's physical appearance, maybe that's like I'm able to do things that I've struggled to do before with more ease. Those are all the ingredients. But also like we're sort of connecting it to your values too. Like, what is exercise in service to?
Yeah,
Yeah, is that
great.
we can
Yeah,
talk
that's
more about
great.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely want to get into it. And I think too, just if you becoming healthier is one of your goals for 2024, just put the word me in the chat, because I think for a lot of people on this call, probably getting back in shape, or I think we're still emerging from that COVID lockdown mentality, right? And yeah, we're gonna see the all the me's popping in. Justin, what is like what's your suggestions for people? Because I don't think there's a formula. It's really, the formula is one word, which is consistency, right? You could do
Mhm.
20 different things and they're all going to work, right? You do CrossFit, you could do Orange Theory, you could do lift, you could, right? It all works, but everyone for the most part fails in that consistency.
Mhm.
How do you coach people around staying consistent?
Yeah, I can talk about like the most common pitfall. Well, I can't talk, but I'll teach everyone health behavior change right now, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Like what
that'd be great.
all right. So can everyone, I can only see like partial amount of screens, but can everyone put their hand in the air as high as they can? All right. If you can put your hand any higher in the air, Sky will send you $1,000. If you can get any higher, Sky will send you $1,000. Okay, great. Okay, you can put your hands down. And then you can type in the chat if when I said Sky would pay you $1,000, you raised your hand any higher. You raise your hand any higher if you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So whether or not you do a behavior, I'm going to very broadly say it's a function of three things. One thing is a prompt. So I just gave you a prompt to do the behavior. A lot of times with exercise, we fail to plan. So you have good intentions, but you don't say, when am I going to do it? Where am I going to do it? I'll talk more about how that comes together. Then whether or not you actually do the behavior is a function of how difficult you perceive the behavior to be, and then paired with how motivated you are. So you might not, at 6 a.m., I don't really feel like having to put my hand all the way in the air. So you might be like, but it's a relatively easy task. So you don't need that much motivation to do it. My dog is right here and he's barking at someone. I'm on the fifth floor. Yeah. You know, Scout.
I know.
Yeah, you know, Scout. So when we have, so basically what this means is we have two dials to turn as long as you have a prompt in place. We can turn the task demand dial, or we can turn the motivation dial. In this case, I gave you a behavior change technique. I turned the motivation dial by in that incentive. That was a lie too, unless the guy's very generous. That increased your motivation, which changed your behavior. Okay. So what most people do is they try to turn up the motivation dial, versus when you are just getting started with a habit, like habit and identity. I have some catchphrases. I say, practice consistency before intensity. I guarantee you, everyone that does a New Year's resolution practices intensity before consistency. So in terms of the motivation dial, in terms of this prompt, how difficult is the task? How motivated are you? You start out very, very motivated. You do things that are very, very hard. But motivation has this natural decline, right? Unless it's part of your identity. If it's a part of your identity, it's totally stable. So people are always trying to do these after the New Year's. They're trying to do these things that are 10 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. And as soon as their motivation dips below a 10 out of 10, they're going to miss. And then the number one predictor of past behavior or future behavior is past behavior. So if you miss, you're more likely to miss again. The biggest pitfall in my experience for not being consistent with exercise is the all or nothing mentality. Very curious if anyone here has the all or nothing mentality with exercise.
Yeah. Put the word me in the chat if that's like, let's get our chat lit up. Like if you're like, oh, I can't go and do a 1 hour Orange Theory class. I can't work out today. Right.
Yep. That is the biggest, in my experience, just talking to thousands of people, the biggest barrier to consistency. I tell people that no matter, so if you can exercise consistently for 6 months, then that's going to really help you be consistent. So the hard part is 0 to 6 months. So I tell people to commit to a minimum dose of exercise. So make sure you have a prompt in place. And then when the prompt comes around, which might be like just something, we always show up to appointments with doctors, with other people. You showed up to an appointment with this. We don't, it's interesting that we sometimes don't show up to appointments with ourselves. So I hear people put, sometimes, there's categories of people that will just, I put it in my calendar, that's my time, versus I put it in my calendar and it's, if someone wants to schedule a meeting with me during my exercise time, I'll just delete my exercise time. No, it's like, if you can make it a priority. So once you have the prompt in place, match the task, how tough the exercise session is with how motivated you are. If you had a long day and you're fatigued and the prompt is there and you were supposed to do something for 45 minutes, just do it for 10 minutes. It's fine. You're just getting used to prompt behavior. And then that's going to help with consistency. So breaking the all or nothing mentality is probably actually my first step to making sure that you're consistent.
Yeah. That's great. Give us walk us through maybe like a real world, like what would be an exercise prompt? Like that's one piece that I'm trying to visualize, right?
Yep. So in my job, what I'll do is I'll talk to people. This is probably the most straightforward, easy example of a prompt. I'll talk to people and then they'll tell me when they want to exercise, and we use an auto text reminder system. So if somebody says, I want to exercise at like 6 a.m., I'll set up a prompt if they say I want it on Wednesday and Friday or something like that. So that prompt will automatically go to them. So then basically, hey, I want to do this. And then it's just, once I get the prompt, then it's kind of the motivation or capabilities thing.
Yeah.
You can, if you're not getting text prompts, putting in your calendar is a great prompt. I think a great habit, especially if your schedule is flexible, is in the morning or even every Sunday, is just look at your calendar and say, when can I fit exercise in, and actually plug it in. Another type of prompt is called an implementation intention, and that's an if-then plan. So for example, you may have things that are already automatically happening. If I'm done with work, then I'll go for a walk, or if I finish my first cup of coffee, I'll go to the gym. So things that automatically happen. Some people benefit from a technique called habit stacking. That's when you just like pair habits on top of habits. So maybe something is already a good habit for you. Just pair something on. Like in the morning, I read. When I'm done with reading, I will go do like a 20-minute walk or something like that.
Yeah.
So those are all examples of prompts that you might use. Yep.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, like one of the thing I've been trying to do like tons of push-ups, right? Because it's like such a good exercise, an easy exercise. I can do it. I travel, I can do it. And one of my prompts is when I end a Zoom call, I'll just go down and then I literally just like have a little note card that I write down, and
Yep.
I'm tracking it at home and stuff like that. So the prompt does, I think we get dissuaded that the prompt needs to be big. It literally could be ending a Zoom call, and I'm on a lot of Zoom calls. So it's like that gets me consistent throughout the day of like hitting whatever my goal is that day for push-ups and stuff like that. So that's awesome, man. How about diet? Like, what's it? A lot of, your book, you wrote the book on the diabetes, and like, I think we can cure almost every disease we have in our country with if we just changed our diet in many ways.
Yeah.
Like, why is diet such a challenge for people in
Yeah.
this?
In part, largely why I wanted to focus on exercise, because it's just a decision you need to make once a day. Food is tough. Food is a decision that you're making all the time. I'll tell you something really, really interesting, is that a lot of the people that I talk to that are on these weight loss medications, they just completely, so a person that's been thin their entire life probably can't understand the things that somebody goes through that is overweight or obese, that especially the hunger signals that they deal with. And also having a little empathy for those people as well, because it's interesting. There's twin studies where you can have like 20 different pairs of twins, feed them the exact same amount of caloric surplus, and then one group of twins, I mean, all the twins will gain relatively the same within. So like if I had a twin, they'd gain the same as me, but like the range with which people gain weight to the same stimuli is also quite interesting. So I just want to like highlight that. An interesting thing is when people are on the medication and they feel like everything is under control, I don't have to worry about this. They have more willpower to do other things. So I guess like the first part is like understanding that it's tough. I don't talk about diet as much as people because my full job, I can talk about it, but
Yeah.
approaching that yourself with like unconditional positive regard towards that. Like I truly do believe most people are trying their best with the resources they have. So like what resources do you need to be successful? So diet, like what you eat, I think like it's very rarely a knowledge issue for people.
Yeah.
It's more of a does my environment, it might be a knowledge issue in terms of procedural knowledge, like how do I actually cook healthy food, but
Yeah.
not in terms of what do I eat. Maybe it's like an access thing as well. So those are all really important things. But I like the saying that systems are designed perfectly to get the results that they get. So if you are struggling to stay consistent with your diet, I would look at just one, if you do have questions as to what, because the internet is a scary place that does have a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah.
Honestly, like have a lot of protein, like lean protein, eat fruits, eat vegetables. Don't eat out too much. Like if it takes you more than 5 seconds to describe how the food was made, maybe don't eat a lot of it. Like, I mean, there's very like simple, like kind of like heuristics for that. But in terms of like what's influencing you to make it easier or harder to eat healthy, and then be like, what can I change? Like if you have unhealthy food in your fridge, you're going to eat it. A big part of it is just not letting it be there. but also just like focusing slowly. I do really believe that having a high protein diet is something that most people are lacking. Most people are not eating enough protein. Even the recommendation of 50 grams is probably not enough, and most people aren't hitting that recommendation. Just by kind of like filling in with protein by default, you're probably going to eat healthier foods. Make sure you're eating more vegetables too, things like that. But if you were to focus on one thing, I'd say like look at how much protein you're eating. So yeah,
Great. I think it's like coming up with these little rules, like, right, never eat standing up, for example. Like, and as realtors, how many of us eat like on the fly? You know, we're just shoving stuff, donuts in the snack room, like all this junk that we're just like surrounded by at all times. Put in the chat all the junk food that you're surrounded by in a
oh
real
yeah,
estate office, like,
yeah.
right, eating in the car, like never eat in the car, never eat standing up. These are like some of my like rules that I try to like follow. And it's like those little things, those little tweaks make all the difference as you start to tally up how many calories you're eating each day and what you're eating as well. Right. It's hard to eat like a piece of protein standing up. Like, you know, I mean, it's possible. I've eaten chicken on a fork before, but Justin, what's like as you know, you've been in this health field and you've learned so much and you've written a book and you advise people all day. Where, you know, we're coming up on a new year. There's going to be a lot of motivation. If there's like two things you could recommend for every single person on this call, like what are the two things that every person should be focusing on as we head into 2024 from a health standpoint?
Mm-hmm. I prescribe resistance training to everybody,
Mm.
and I feel like resistance training is very tough for a few reasons. So one is it's more intimidating and more technically challenging than going out for like a walk or something like that. I'll actually highly focus on why we should be doing this too. If that's okay. So like
Yeah.
I'm curious too, like how many people have been, I guess, consistently or wanting to do some kind of strength training, and then maybe what's like a barrier to doing it. I'm actually very curious of that, and I did also see like a question specifically for
Yeah.
me in the chat too. I don't. Does someone keep
Just
track of the questions
ignore
as
the
well?
chat for now, Justin. You'll go
Yeah,
crazy if you try to answer it all. We'll
yeah,
try to get to maybe some of them, but like I love these guys and they're so active.
yeah.
But we'll go. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get everyone. But so what was the
Yep.
question? Put in the chat, like if you a barrier to weight training, is that the question?
Yeah. That would be good.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes
So
I feel cardio is more important than resistance, lower back pain,
mhm,
discipline is the barrier. Yeah, pain.
yeah. It's
Don't know
yeah,
how.
these are all perfect examples. It's actually what I really work on when I have time to do research, what I really work on. One thing is just like people are not sure what to do. Like what does a training program actually look like? And so that's a barrier. By the way, I'll send that over to you if you want to send it to other people. But I do have a channel where I do full routines for people. So if you're
Yeah, that'd be
curious
great.
what to do and you want to do it in your house, so part of it is just I don't have a plan, I don't know what to do. So I really do recommend including resistance training into your routine. One, if you're trying to lose weight, it's not per se going to change the number on the scale. Like if you lose weight with
Yeah.
and without resistance training, the number on the scale is probably going to be exactly or relatively identical, but the quality of your weight loss is going to be different. Oh, give me a thumbs up when I did
No.
that. The quality of your weight loss is going to be different. Meaning if you just diet and you're not doing resistance training, you're going to lose some muscle. If you diet and you do resistance training, you're going to predominantly lose the weight from fat. If you lose, so there's an interesting line of research on I'm sure a lot of people have yo-yoed in terms of their weight. You know, lose 50 pounds, put it back on, lose 40 pounds, put it back on. There's some really interesting research that says when people lose muscle, they're more susceptible to regaining weight. Your hunger signals increase, and then you have the drive to eat until you regain the muscle that you lost. And so that's a really fascinating line of research as to like why in a weight loss effort, better quality weight loss, less likely to rebound. And so there's also just outside of that, combining aerobics and resistance training result in the greatest health benefits, best health outcomes for everybody. So doing both results in the best health benefits of for everybody. So there's so many reasons why you should do it, but there's a lot of reasons that make it quite difficult. One is I'm not sure what to do. Again, I'll send it over to Sky, we can connect. I'll show you what that looks like. If you go into the gym, like especially if I like Planet Fitness, I probably used to knock on machines, but go around, do the machine circuit. As long as you're doing something that trains all major muscle groups, start easy, start as simple as possible. You can start in your home. You can start with just a few dumbbells at home. That is all a completely fine option. Look into a trainer. It's the same reason why I don't do my own taxes. Why would I don't want to learn how to do that. I want someone to teach me. Well, in this case, it's my dad and he does it for free, but I would rather have somebody just like do it for me or teach me the right way how to do that. So like look for help. I think that's a super valuable thing. You might learn all you need to know about how to put together an exercise program in like 3 sessions with a trainer. So like there's so many different barriers. One, starting easy, making sure that you have help, but it's definitely a very worthwhile exercise prescription for, I would say, maintaining physical functioning for the entirety of your life. Like aerobics is great, but it's probably not gonna be the thing that's gonna help you walk up the stairs when you're 90. That's going to be strength training. So if you want to like kind of like map out what you want the rest of your life to look like, being strong is extremely valuable. It doesn't mean you have to be like bench pressing 225, but like, can I do can I get up and down off of a chair like with ease? Like that's kind of like the important stuff. So honestly, maybe I would also recommend just don't like alcohol. This has nothing to do with what I study or anything like that, but alcohol is the lowest return on investment out there, especially in Boston, because it's like $20 for a drink, and there's just no benefit of it. So just like cut down on alcohol. That would be what I would also recommend too.
Yeah.
So
We're realtors, so there's a lot of alcohol involved in a lot of things that we do. But the other thing about alcohol that is tough for me is like I'll be motivated and then I drink, and then it's like it's not even the alcohol itself. It's like, oh well, now I'm gonna get the pizza. Now I'm gonna get the wings. Now I'm gonna get right. It's like the resistance, and then the next morning it's harder to wake up, etc. So it's one of those things that definitely just being aware. The other thing that I've been working on too is just that awareness of like the 1 or 2 glasses of wine at night when I'm at home alone with the kid, like making dinner or something like that. Cutting that out has been a huge return as well. So that's one of those things. So I love that advice. And I think too, Justin, like the workouts that we did on Zoom, I think a lot of people have fear around weight training when it literally is as easy as putting on an app for 20 minutes or 10 minutes even. And, dumbbells or even body weight is such a great exercise. So, but so what is like as you're sort of, work Weight Watchers, and what for people who are overweight or obese or they're just at a weight that they just don't feel good, right? And I know I've been there before. I guarantee a lot of people on this call have been there. Where's, I think the watching the scale is really tough, but like you have motivation and that dies. When the motivation dies, what are other ingredients you can insert to keep that journey going? Because 6 months is a long, long time. Do you know what I mean? It feels like forever in many ways.
Yep. So I said before, so systems are designed perfectly to get the results that they get. So how do you set up a system so that it becomes more or less automatic, right? And so motivation, it looks like this, right? Now there are things that you can do to boost your motivation, so you can start to think about your motives. Is it just like, I guess the best way to put it is, do you say in your mind, is exercise something that you get to do or something that you have to do? And that there is a difference there, especially if you think about, ask people this all the time, like, so, okay, so what's exercise in service to for you? Like, why is this important? Recently had someone who was like just struggling to figure it out, and then she's like, oh, like I'm going to set up a prompt and it's going to say like training to be a grandma. So like, what is it in service to? Like, is it connected to something that's emotionally meaningful? Like, just you can't logic yourself into higher motivations. Like you got to kind of have this emotional attachment. But if we're talking about your system, this is what I call it, is, so one is there's capabilities, and that's so I'm going to say like capabilities, opportunity, and then motivation. That's what goes into your system. Now, capabilities is like psychological capabilities, meaning one, so I guess three important things. Are you planning? So like, when am I going to do it? Are you basically self-monitoring? So at the end of the, like, let's just say I set my standard, hey, I'm going to do 10,000 steps, or I'm going to do street training 2 times per week. At the end of the week, are you evaluating, or even daily, are you evaluating, did I meet those standards that I set? And then are you setting like coping plans? So like, if barriers come up, what's the plan to make sure that I work around it? So that's psychological capabilities. Physical capabilities, big issue is that's with the all or nothing mentality, is people start out doing advanced stuff after they've just taken 6 months off. And that leads to, like I said, burnout or injury. So we don't want either of those things. So make sure that your physical capabilities, your current physical capabilities, match what you're doing. A lot of people will start out exercising and do that advanced stuff, and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm catastrophically sore right now. And then you're going to end up missing training sessions in the future. So like, don't crush yourself, and make sure that your current physical capabilities match the plan that you're doing. So
Yeah.
that's capabilities. Opportunity is social opportunity. And then also just that, like, actually having a prompt, and the physical opportunity to do it. So social opportunities, that's a great example of if motivation dips, if you have a workout partner, only one of you needs to be motivated to make sure that you do it. So having that social support is extremely important. We have people weekly have accountability buddies and text each other to make sure that they're okay, doing well with that. Like the actual physical opportunity. If you have to travel 30 minutes to get to a gym or something like that, that's you have to be really motivated to do it, versus can I do it at my house or something like that? Great place to start. So that's opportunity. And then we kind of talked about motivation already, but so like, if your motivation dips, like reminding yourself, what is it in service to? Why is this important to me? And then also just start going full circle, focusing on, who do I want to become? Like, who's the kind of person where this won't be an issue? So like, if it becomes a part of your identity, you outgrow your problems versus solving them. So I think that's a nice thing to add in. So that's like this 6 main things that really need to be in place.
Yeah. I love that accountability piece too. I mean, that's sort of the mindset of the 6amers, right? Like, you don't have to get up, but hey, we're still going to get up because there's 215 other people getting up, things like that. So there's so many good nuggets there. And I really want to challenge everyone as we start to head into 2024, like, identify what your health goals are as we're working, and don't wait until January. Like, literally start today. Like, in the chat right now, like, put today what you're going to do for physical fitness. And by the way, it literally could be walking for 10 minutes. It could be raising your hand, even though I'm not paying you $1,000, is better than nothing, right? And I really, really want to challenge every single person on this call. I know for me, when I'm physically fit, everything else sort of stems from that starting point. And when I'm not physically fit, it's like, it's amazing how everything is going bad when I'm like in this mode where I'm like not feeling good in my body. Do you know what I mean? So, Justin, I'm going to try to take a couple questions from the chat. How many days a week is recommended for consistency? Or, like, how many days a week would you recommend people exercise?
Yeah, and even if I make this recommendation, I tell people it doesn't need to be your next step. So I've looked through everything. What's like the optimal? I'll talk about resistance training first, but like, what is an optimal resistance training frequency? Probably it's like 2 to 3 times per week. So anything above that, do more if you love it. Or if you're just like, hey, I want to get really, really strong. No, really, in terms of the magnitude of improved health benefits, not too much more after 3 times per week. Again, unless it's like, hey, I would only focus on aesthetics, strength, and then I just love it. But the caveat is making sure that if we're all talking right now and you said, hey, I was doing like a leg press exercise at the gym, did 3 sets of 10, did it with 100 pounds. And then 6 months later, we chatted, you're like, hey, went to the gym, did 3 sets of 10 with 100 pounds. I'd be like, okay, well, you didn't progress. So big key is progression. So like, how do I like do more reps, more sets, a little bit heavier weight over time? So making sure that you're progressing with that. And then in terms of, when I talk to people, I do step count, which is a proxy for not being sedentary. I do I talk about resistance training, and then I'll talk about aerobics too. So step counts. So I guess kind of like backtracking, get at least 2 days with resistance training. 3 is fantastic. With step count, get a minimum of 6,000. That's where the risk of all cause mortality starts to decrease. And 10,000 is actually optimal. That's where the optimal risk reduction for dementia is. So I just go with that one. I'm like, hey, why not get dementia?
Yeah.
Like 8,000, 9,000 for hypertension and diabetes risk. So those, but again, I say, why not just don't get dementia. So get 10,000 steps if you can. So, and then for some types of health conditions, there's like a linear relationship where more continues to reduce the odds. So things like diabetes, like every 1,000 extra steps, you reduce the risk, versus other things. It's like more like, hey, there's like a cap at like 9,000 steps or something like that.
Yeah.
That your step count will count towards just moderate physical activity, but also can you do some vigorous aerobics? And if you can just do that maybe like twice a week, that's also really, really fantastic.
Yeah. That's awesome. Put in the chat too, if anyone's willing to share, what are your health goals for 2024? I'm curious what people's health goals are. And Justin, I love talking to you. And I love, it's so fun training with you. And I'm going to be bringing up with my sister, but in the meantime, are you able to find your YouTube channel? And then we'll add it into the chat as we go. But I want to see everyone on this call really hyper focus on their health, because it's honestly like we only get one body. We can't recreate it, right? So it's so incredibly critical that we make sure we are focusing on becoming healthier as we go forward here. So Justin, huge thank you. Once again, we'll get Justin's channel. We'll add that in the chat. But I wanted to end the call because we brought my sister on for the all 6-ammer call, and she demoed her sheet, and it took us a little while to get everything organized. So Liz, are you on the call right now?
I am. Good
Good
morning.
morning. How are you? So I'm gonna
It's
make you
not my hour as much as 9.
yeah, Liz is more of a 9 a.m.er than a 6 a.m.er, but we dragged her out.
I was
Well,
showered at the 9 a.m. call.
Liz, you got your sheet finally like ready to go. And so
Yes.
if you don't mind to give everyone just a quick preview of the training you're offering and how to sign up and everything like that. So
Yeah. So, um, super quick for anyone that hasn't seen it yet. This is an example of the sheet. This is the 2024 version I set up and put in fake data. So the idea is that just by entering in a few things, the address, the zip, this is so you can track things, the client name, and then the dates when the contract is signed. Going to 23, and then when it's closing, and the sales price plus the commission percentage. Then it will automatically calculate your compass split, what your gross income is. If you have a fee that your office charges as a percentage, that can be in here. If there's any deductions, maybe you pay for conveyancing, you can put that in. If you charge your client a flat fee, you can add that back in, and then this will tell you what you should make. And then when the contract is signed, you also toggle through these buttons if it's a buyer or seller, if you got the lead from your team leader or if it was your own lead, the source. Actually, yeah, that would be. And then what did I say? Tracking this is a buyer. So tracking your top lender and title companies. If you have attorneys, I created a column for that now. And then also the age demographic. And then you can leave comments on the side. So if you go through and fill that out for each sale, once the sale closes, you can see I've pretended that these all grayed up here have closed. Then this is how much I'm supposed to make. Then I reconcile that I actually got paid correctly. So I double check and that it hit my account. So I double check my account, I enter it in, let's say it was correct. And then it will calculate how much I transfer into my tax savings account. So this is an important step. Keeping up with all of that, this is sales up here. You can do the same for rentals and the same for referrals because that's all income. This will total everything at the bottom so you can see your total volume, total GCI, things like that. But the more fun and exciting one is the summary page. So
if you fill out these green boxes with your goals, you can compare how you stand for the, year to date, your goal to the actual, with all these boxes, and it summarizes. So again, where your business is coming from, how much, how much business you're sending to your key lenders. That one I messed up the thing, but it will show. And then age demographic, how much, volume you're doing with the different age brackets. And then also very important, taxes. So this is how much tax liability you have year to date. If you make payments along the way, your quarterly payments, you enter them in here. And then it'll reduce that. And then, this is what your tax savings account balance should be. And then this chart up here is summary of just your sales activity. So it'll show you by month how many contracts and the amount of volume you've written. So these are contracts signed. And then this one is your volume, number of contracts, and GCI plus income settled, pending or settled. So if it's, let's say this is August right now, everything before August is settled and everything after August is pending because it hasn't occurred yet.
Yep.
So this is just pending or settled depending on where we are in the time frame. And then lastly, this shows the taxes for all of this income. And I'm not in this sheet, I haven't filled out any expenses, but there is an expense tab. If you fill those out, then it would show your profit and loss by month and like kind of the running total. So that's a very quick overview of the
Yep.
sheet.
Awesome.
It's
Well,
quite,
I think, Liza, the biggest thing is that, we're just talking about health wellness, right? And this is financial wellness. And like health wellness, if you have no idea what you're eating or if you're exercising, like, you don't even know where to start. And financial wellness, for most people on this call, my guarantee is you have no idea what each check is that Compass owes you, right? Like most agents just get a check and they put it in their account. Like put the word me in the chat if you know what if you don't know, so put the word me in the chat if you don't know what you are owed by Compass after a deal. I'm going to guarantee that even if we don't see the me's, there's a lot of you on this call. And that's, like I said, I want to tell you Compass is perfect. Compass makes mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, right? So this is huge for everyone. And the other biggest thing is taxes, right? It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And a lot of us in this world go in this tax cycle where we're working. Our 2024 first quarter goes towards paying the bill from 2023, and then we extend and then we get in that cycle. So for everyone on this call, like this spreadsheet changed my life and it changed my business and it's awesome. So,
so what I'm going to be offering, so this, you can see this version here is, this would be a principal agent. So there's one split with the broker. So you take the commission, there's just one split and you have the agent's income, and then you might have additions, deductions for the office, things like that. This would also, this version, one split, I call it, would also fit if you're an agent on a team, but your team split is all inclusive. So you don't pay an additional split to Compass, or it's not, your team split's not after the Compass split. So those are the like kind of two key people that would sign up for the one split version. I'm offering that class 12:30 to 1:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'm going to do, so on Tuesday, I'll basically provide a link where you can make a copy of the template, and I'll walk you through how to set up, these different boxes for yourself, selecting your tax liability, all of that, filling in your goals. And then I'll recommend everybody bring a remittance so we can test the calculation, and you'll verify your calculation in the sheet to one of your past sales. Another thing that I have found is sometimes people aren't totally clear on their contract with Compass. So going through this process is actually beneficial because it requires you to figure out exactly how does it exactly work. Sometimes people have incentives and that kind of confuses things. So and because of that, the second class will be like troubleshooting, frequently asked questions, things like that, because inevitably, not everybody is exactly as simple as I would like. And And then there will also, so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, basically at 12:30 to 1:30 will be the one split version. And then I have another template that has two splits. So if you're on a team and your team split is after the compass split, that's your team split's on the net. There's a column to take off the compass split and then apply your team split and then see your income. And that could also be the opposite. If you split with your team and then you pay a portion of the compass split, that also works. So that one will be from 2 to 3 on Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah. And if you run a team, like if the what Eliza's offering, if you run a team, is a really good tool for you to use to track your sales per se, right, Liz? And
Yeah,
then
so
the
if you're a
team is
team
like,
leader, you could do this principal agent one split version. You can see your own personal sales. It's not going to show you the cuts you're getting from your team members. I do have a version for that. It gets a little bit more complicated for teams, and so I'm Sky's going to send out more information, sending like a
yeah.
form you can fill out for a wait list. And I'll probably offer some opportunities for custom team sheets for people that are interested. But for this training, the Tuesday and Thursday, and actually there will be a bonus class in January as well. But that is going to be $299. And yeah,
What I'll do today, Liz, I'll get an email out with all the details. But I
okay.
just want to bring you back on just to show it, and once again, make sure we offer it to people. And I can tell you personally that this sheet changed my life, and it was my favorite piece of real estate was putting those numbers in that one little box and watching everything calculate. It was my favorite thing I did when I sold a house or put anything under contract, adding it into the sheet, and it's such an awesome thing. So, and Russell, I know you did this last year. Russell, do you mind unmuting maybe and just giving a little feedback of?
It changed my life. You know, I always had trouble with the tax side of it, and Eliza was kind enough to spend some personal time with me. And what we did, I thought, was great. And this is a really good time to do it because you're almost at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Is that what I did was able to, look through all of 2023 and start with that and be able to enter all the deals that I had done. I learned, where the money was going, trying to live on not 100% of your commission, but on, 65%. But what it did really help me was, to open 3 basically savings accounts. And I had an initial savings account, but have a second one for taxes and a third one for retirement. And, those 3 bundles now have really allowed, me to see a little bit better on, what I'm doing. We're still working with Eliza on the expense side. I think that's a little bit harder to get the ROI on each listing. But I promise you, the amount of money that, I spent with Eliza to put my financial house in order has been incredible.
Yeah, it's a very small price to pay to know. And I think too, just knowing what you're owed by Compass, right? Like, I mean, that's like I said, let's be real. I want Compass to be perfect, but there's all these weird things that happen. And at the very least, if you see the difference, you can inquire about it and correct it or find out why. So it's
you
awesome.
Get excited to put a deal in the spreadsheet, which is
right? Isn't it the best feeling? The best
yeah.
thing in the world, putting it in the spreadsheet. It's like my favorite.
I agree. It kind of gamifies it. Actually, there's an agent who left Compass who's been bugging me for it. And she's like, it makes it fun. She's like, I miss it.
I know.
And there's also, if you think this is great, or if you saw me on Momentum Monday with all the opportunities of checklists and things like that, I'm also including this in the Business Essentials class that I'm teaching with Susie Adamson and Jennifer Vick. There's a couple spots left in Orlando, and we'll be, doing more locations too, so you can follow up with that too.
Anyways, I'll get the email out. I know I kept everyone a long time, but I appreciate you staying on. Liz, thanks for coming on. Justin, thank you for coming on. And if you can't tell, being healthy and well in 2024 is going to be a huge push for the 6amers and for me personally to try to really motivate and change behavior. So everyone on this call wakes up in the morning and just loves their life and isn't in that that mode where you're just like not in a good space. We want everyone in a great space. So awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. We will talk to you soon, and thank you again for hanging on. And Justin, thanks again for coming on. And I'll talk to you later, Les.
Thank
Bye.
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.